Hi, my name is Neb Camus Sen Atumre, and this is the third part of the video entitled Jesus Found in Egypt. According to the book, The True Authorship of the New Testament by Abelard Reuchlin in 1979, the Piso family authored the entire Christ Testament, the New Testament. Arius Calpurnius Piso, a historian, but originally Joseph Ben Mathaias, whose pen name was Flavius Piso, 37 AD through 93 AD, altered history, changed books, fabricated stories, and played games with his specialty language. Some of his works were History of the Jewish War, Antiquity of the Jews, and Against Appian, a Defense of the Jews. He took on Roman citizenship because of their influence in the world, and became governor of Galilee, which was his original home and original language. Piso was an associate of Paul's teachings, and combined them with Roman and mythology, such as changing his name from Saul to Paul, Acts 13:9, elimination of circumcision, Acts 21:21, and disregard for the Sabbath. And finally, breaking the blood code or the seed code, mixing with other groups like the Romans. This is unlike the teachings of Jesus, who claim he only came to his own people, Matthew 15:27. The devil has advocates spreading his word of deception. The biggest antichrist and the one who formulated the concepts of the Christian religion is Paul, the 13th self-appointed apostle of the Messiah Jesus, the FBI agent. Paul's teachings oppose that which the real Yashu'a Ha Mashiakh, or Jesus the Messiah Christ, preached to his followers. He is a liar, Romans 3:7, who went to the Gentiles, Caucasians, knowing he was not supposed to, Romans 1:13, as it was what Yeshua, Jesus, taught. Paul was really a follower of Simon Bar Jesus, the son of the real Yashu'a Ha Mashiakh, or Jesus the Messiah Christ, who is the son of Mary and the husband of Mary Magdalene. If you read the second degree of John, the whole chapter, be it in Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, Syriac, Arabic, or Latin, the facts will still remain the facts. The wedding of Cana was the wedding of Jesus to Mary of Magdalene. During the very same honeymoon where the marriage was consummated, Mary of Magdalene, daughter of Manahan and Zarullah, became pregnant. And when the time came for delivery, she gave birth to a son. And they called his name Simon. Simon Bar Jesus is the Bar Jesus of Acts. He is mentioned twice in there. Once under the name Simon, and once under the name Bar Jesus. The word Bar is Aramaic for son. Throughout the New Testament, it is the name of several men. They are Bar Abbas, Matthew 12:17, Bar Jesus, Acts 13:6, Bar Jonah, Matthew 16:17, Barnabas, Acts 13:1, Bar Sabbas, Acts 1:23, Bar Tholomew, Matthew 10:3, and Bar Timaeus, Mark 10:46. Simon was called a magician and a sorcerer. They were giving him mainly three attributes of his father. Simon Bar Jesus was the product of the marriage that the Christians claim never happened. He was born on September 17th, 28 AD. Yeshua had aspirations for his son becoming a great teacher, which he, Simon, went off into the in-depth study of mysticism and the Kabbalah, a book of heretics by Yeshua's own words. Yeshua warned his son again and again that these were undesirables, until his son grew up and left to go live amongst them. Unable, like most children, to respect the wishes of their parents, Simon got caught up in the rituals and practices of the Kabbalah, of Kabbalahism, and became known as a sorcerer, a great pain to Yeshua. And once someone came to Yeshua and said, "There is a man teaching in your name." Yeshua knew immediately who that was, dropped his head saddened, quickly raised it up again and said, "Forbid him not, for there is no man which shall do a miracle in my name that can lightly speak evil of me." He knew that his own son Simon, who was calling himself Jesus, had launched on a mission above his father, where he went out to teach his own doctrine. Simon Bar Jesus went on to preach and teach all through Greece, Syria, and Antioch. He had many followers such as Saul, who later became known as Paul, the self-proclaimed apostle. He was one of them. So eventually Saul and them became disciples, and they started taking on Greek names. They traveled back on into Syria, into a place called Antioch, where they first established their church. And they were called Christians because the people of Syria thought that they were followers of Cleophas, who was a Hare Krishna. Cleophas, or Jesus Justus, the third Jesus, the son of Mark Anthony and Cleopatra, had converted to what's called Hare Krishna religion. And that's where the word Christos, or Christ, comes from, whom the Hindus thought was Jesus of Nazareth when he visited India. The people of Antioch thought that this man, Simon Bar Jesus, was Cleophas. Thus they referred to them in Antioch as Christians for the first time. There was a conflict that broke out between the original disciples of Yeshua Bar Miriam and Simon Bar Jesus, Yeshua. And Yeshua's own brother-in-law, Barnabas, and his brother was with Paul at first, and was a student of Simon. They all came over to follow his father, Yeshua, son of Miriam, daughter of Imram and Hannah. For Simon was also called Yeshua, son of Miriam, or Isa ibn Miriam, for his mother was also Miriam, being Miriam of a place called Magdala. And he, Simon Bar Jesus, did as the Greek say, existemi, amazing things, astonishing things, and bewildered the people of Samaria, giving the impression that he was the Messiah. And that's what he did to the people of Samaria. And Paul recorded it in his books called Acts. And it says that to whom they all gave heed. What does that mean? That the Samaritans believed him, and he had a large congregation saying, this man is the great power of God. This is the Son of God. He is an embodiment of God. Now, unto him they all give or showed regards. They had a lot of respect for him because he performed miracles. When the leaders of the people saw Simon Bar Jesus performing miracles, they said, this man is a sorcerer. They called him a sorcerer. But as you can see from your scriptures, he was called Elymas, a wise man. This is the Greek word Elymas, Elimau. In Galilean Arabic, Mu'lam or Maulana, meaning a learned, a wise man. This Simon Bar Jesus is the Christ of the Christian religion as taught by Paul through his 14 books or 14 scriptures. When Paul first began teaching, he traveled with Barnabas to Antioch as an undercover spy for the Pharisees. Paul and Barnabas then went on to Paphos, where they encountered Simon Bar Jesus, whom Paul decided to make his own teacher. Then God later on to confuse the true followers of Yeshua, you Nubians. Paul decided to start changing the original teachings of Yeshua to incorporate the sorcery of the Kabbalah and mysticism that is found in his writings to this day. He made lawful things that the scriptures and Yeshua had made unlawful. He accepted the teachings that was taught by Bar Jesus, the corrupted son of Yashu'a Ha Mashiakh, and this, Paul's hidden motives, was to form his newly found religion called Christianity. From Rome, Paul and his disciples, who taught of Simon Bar Jesus as if he was Yashu'a Ha Mashiakh, gained much opposition. In time, after much persecution, these Christians found acceptance with the Roman Emperor Constantine, who declared all Rome Christians and established the Catholic Church, establishing Peter as the first pope unto this day. A group of men formed the Second Nicene Council, which was called by the Empress Irene in 787 AD, where the Nicene Decree of 325 AD was revoked, and the principles governing the veneration of images were laid down. This was the birth of Christianity. And they, the Nicene Council, decided what was to be accepted and what was to be rejected. Any teachings that made it clear that there was more than one Jesus in his time and more than one set of teachings or truth of the crucifixion was thrown away as a fiction. Thus, many of the original books that told the true story were lost. And from Paul and Luke, you have the many churches that exist today. You are followers of Simon Bar Jesus, and the books you follow are Paul's and Luke's. You have no guidance. You are being led by the Antichrist. Simon Bar Jesus was eventually found guilty of being a sorcerer and a false prophet, and they sought out to crucify him. He was crucified in Rome at the age of 33, and his body was taken to St. Peter Basilica in Rome, where he was buried in 61 AD, and he is entombed to this day. And they made a replica of his mother, Mary of Magdalene, and him, and it is called the Black Madonna, and that's where the Pope and them are holding their allegiance to, because he, Simon, opened the gates for Gentiles, Canaanite, Caucasian beast men to get to Israel. What most people don't know is that both words, Messiah and Christ, have their origin in the ancient Egyptian mystery language. Therein you will find the word Messiah as Meseh, meaning anoint, which is an Egyptian ritual, as well as Karast. Christians took the name Christ or Christian from the Egyptian word Karast. And what is interesting is the Christendom. In Christendom, their Bible claims that the name Christian was first used in a place called Antioch. Acts 11:26. There is no word that is even similar to Christ in Syriac. However, the equivalent in Ashuric, Syriac, Arabic is Masah, to wipe clean. So the phonetic sound of Christ is none other than the Egyptian word Karast, and is used the exact same way as an anointed individual, Pameseh, the Messiah, or Pakarast, the Christ. History has proven that the Egyptian records of divinity predate Moses receiving the Torah or their law, because according to them, Moses was raised in Egypt, educated in Egypt, then left Egypt, went into the wilderness, and got the revelation for their laws. There was no Bible before Moses for the Hebrews. Yet, when Abraham and Isaac visited Egypt, kingdoms, educational and religious systems were already in place. In fact, Exodus 7:10, where Aaron turns his staff into a snake, the Egyptian priests were able to do the same thing. So it wasn't any great miracle from the Israelite God. It was simple Egyptian alchemy that Moses found and learned in Egypt, which the Jews claim as their magic. Show me another place anywhere in the Bible where the trick of turning a staff into a snake happened, except Egypt. You can't. But the Pharaoh's priests did it, and Moses, who was educated by them, did it, and even Jesus, who performed miracles, spent the first 13 years of his life, from youth to manhood according to Judaic traditions, of which he was, learned all he did in Egypt. So the Jews, Hebrews, and Israelites were using Egyptian powers. Thus ends today's video. See you at video number 4. We hope you learned something from this video, and we urge you to share this video and to subscribe to the only channel where you will learn true ancient Egyptian mysteries. No more lies, no more guesswork. So share, subscribe, click on the like button below. See you at the next video.